Hi, I'm Kelsey Mays for Cars.com. Alfa Romeo hasn't been in the U.S. market since 1995. That's when Montel Jordan was popular. But here we are at the 2014 New York International Auto Show, and this is how they do it. The resurgence of Alfa Romeo in the United States with the 4C, a two-door mid-engine turbocharged sports car that will be available starting at the end of June 2014. Let's take a closer look. Alfa Romeo fans will notice the brand's iconic grille here. It's sort of this downward triangle. Check out these lines. They kind of run up here along the hood. There's a lot of carbon fiber elements you see around areas like the headlights. That's legit. That's the real deal. That's because the 4C has a carbon fiber chassis, which is really the stuff of very exotic sports cars. These lines run along the sides here. They come sort of toward these intakes here right behind the front doors. These are real intakes. They're not just for show. They funnel air into the engine. Speaking of which, let's open the trunk and talk power. Mid-engine layout here, 1,750 cc. That's between 1.7 and 1.8 liters. 237 horsepower, 258 pounds-feet of torque. It's a turbocharged four-cylinder engine. Gets power down to the rear wheels through a dual-clutch paddle shifting automatic transmission, and Alfa Romeo says it saddles that engine with less than 10 pounds of curb weight, of dry curb weight, for every horsepower that the engine has. We don't know exact curb weight specifications yet. Alfa Romeo doesn't have those numbers available, but that puts it at around 2,300, 2,400 pounds, depending where it ends up. The European spec 4C is around 2,000 pounds, but Alfa Romeo says that car has a lot fewer standard features, things like side airbags, air conditioning. So you add those on, it's going to add a little bit more weight. Small on the outside equals small on the inside. Very Spartan interior here. Utilitarian feel. Things are kind of where they need to be, but there's not a whole lot of creature comforts. Additionally, things like power seats, you're not going to get them. Height adjustable seats, you don't get either, but that does contribute to a lot of headroom because you kind of sit down low here. I'm 6 feet tall. The seats adjust forward and backward. I'd sit a couple clicks ahead of it all the way back. So there is decent room there, and there's also a tilt and telescoping steering wheel. Leather wrapped paneling along the interior, leather seats, those things are optional. Speaking of these seats, very high side bolsters. Alfa Romeo says even if you get the cloth seats, they have the same structure, so you're not going to be sliding around anymore in those base seats. Storage areas, no. No glove compartment, no center console. There's a couple cup holders right here. Here's where you could put something. This little net back here. Yeah. Big knobs here for the climate controls. Buttons for the dual clutch automatic transmission down here. Paddle shifters up here, obviously. You do also have a drivetrain selector switch right here. That affects things like drivetrain response. It also affects the intervention thresholds for the electronic stability system, according to Alfa Romeo. It doesn't affect steering feel because there is no power steering in the 4C, according to Alfa Romeo. That should make drivability very interesting, and obviously, in theory, should improve steering feel at higher speeds. It's going to make the car a little more difficult to turn at lower speeds. I seriously don't think the last car without power steering was around in the US since like 1995. So I know what you're thinking. Well, Alfa Romeo, I've never seen an Alfa Romeo dealer around. Well, Alfa Romeo is one of the many brands of the recently merged Fiat Chrysler, so the 4C will actually be available at select Fiat dealerships as well as Maserati dealerships. Maserati is another one of their brands. Prices start around $54,000 for the base model of the 4C, all the way up to the low $70,000 range, Alfa Romeo tells us. So here it is. It's going to be on sale very soon.